Hey guys, what's going on? This is Tarvi here, and in this video we are going to look at shadcn-ui and we are going to create this small application using it. So shadcn-ui is not a UI library, it's a bunch of components that you can copy paste in your project. So this is basically that application we are going to create. It's not a functioning e-commerce website but just a collection of UI elements. So this is a card which will have a button. If we press the button, let me bring my image a little up so that you can see the toast which is about to come. So if I click on purchase, it will say item purchased successfully. So this is all we are going to create, and also there's a light mode and dark mode toggle here, so we can click it and we can say select light, and we can go back to dark mode. Sorry for anyone whose eyes got destroyed because of me going to light mode. So yeah, get used to it because we are going to do that quite a lot in this video. So yeah, let's get started. First, let's explore what shadcn-ui is and why it was created in the first place, and then we are going to move on to create this app. Okay, so upon navigating to ui.shadcn.com, I'll leave the link in the description below. You can find this homepage. It says beautifully designed components that you can copy and paste into your apps, accessible, customizable, and open source. So what really differentiates this from a component library is that this isn't any library. This is basically just components which you have code for, and you can simply copy paste that component code into your application and customize it however you want to. It's basically written in Tailwind, so you can simply modify it as you like and it will work. So if you click on get started, there is a quite better version of explanation. It says this is not a component library, it's a collection of reusable components which you can paste in your app, and you can create your own component library using this. So it says use this as a reference to build your own component libraries. So shadcn also has a CLI that allows you to install the dependencies for these components and copy this component into a folder for you without you having to copy it and have a lot of complications, because some of these have dependencies. So the CLI helps you do that, but they do not install any shadcn component package or anything like that. So that's the beauty of shadcn, and lately shadcn has been booming a lot, and I think it got the best JavaScript ecosystem something kind of award, and I'm not really sure. If I find it, I'll just paste it on the screen, but it's really booming, and a lot of the SaaS founders are also using shadcn nowadays because it's just looks cool. So if we go to some of these components, let's go to drawer. It's new. If we click on open drawer, it's basically a mobile component, but on PC it's look like this. So imagine if you have a mobile component, and so if we resize this to mobile size, so if we do like this, you will see that it looks pretty cool. If we click on open drawer, it opens like this, and I think it looks pretty cool for mobile applications, and everything is managed. Like you don't need to manage states for if it's open or not. If you want to, you can, but it's not a necessity. Oh, I think you couldn't see it, but yeah, now you can see it. If we click on open drawer, it opens. Yeah, basically that's it. And there are a lot of different components. Even carousel is now new. The new updates were, I think, just before 2023 was about to end. But yeah, there are a lot of different components which you can use. Even buttons are pretty good, and the thing is that all the logic and all the functionality is top notch, and you can customize the styles and the behavior of these components as you like. And there is even this themes option, so you can select your own colors and stuff, and you can simply copy the code and paste it in your CSS file to have that specific theme, and I think it's pretty dope. So let's get started with creating the app I just showcased you. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so we are in our terminal. For anyone wondering what terminal I use Warp. It's available for macOS. I don't know if it's available for Windows yet or not, but you can always check it out. So the command we are going to use is pnpx create next app. App.write is not the video we created the last video on app.write. So this is going to be shadcn yt. So let's create this, and we are going to leave most of the settings default. I think all of them. TypeScript we need yes, alias lint yes, Tailwind yes, SRC directory yes, app router yes, import alias we don't need to change it. So let's wait for this to finish it. It should not take a lot of time, so let's wait for this. Perfect. Now we have an Next.js application. So notice that we are not going to install any library which is related to shadcn. We are just only going to run the CLI command. So Let's open Visual Studio Code here and run pnpm dev. Now we can get this to full screen. And what I want to do right now is get this to another desktop so that we can simply switch between these two. And now what we can do is let's go to the installation and follow through. So we are using Next.js. If you're using something else, you can feel free to follow the steps, but we're using Next.js. So I'm going to click this. We have already a Next.js application, so we don't need to do any of this. So we need to initialize shadcn. This does not install any packages, but this creates a components.json file. So let's copy this command. We want for pnpm, so let's copy this. Let's go back to our terminal. Let's open a new tab. Let's paste this. It's going to initialize the component.json file for us. We are going to use TypeScript, yes. Let's use the New York style. I think both are the same, only the font sizes are different, and I like the New York style more. If you want more info on this, you can always go to the shadcn-ui documentation and see the previews. There are different colors you can use. I'm just going to use slate for this one. Now this is the cool part, because this is where you need to be careful. It says where is your globals.css file. Now if you check in your application, if you use the default, it's wrong, because there is an src folder, and inside the src folder there's an app folder which has a globals.css file. The mistake which I did here, I left it to default thinking that it might have already detected, but nah, it didn't, and the whole thing messed up. So let's set this. So src/app/globals.css. Do you like to use CSS variables for colors? I would recommend setting this to yes, because we will use this later to set the theme for our application using the theme editor which I just showed you on the documentation. So let's click on yes. We do not want any custom Tailwind prefix. Where is your Tailwind config.js located? And again, this is not a JavaScript project, this is a TypeScript project. So we have a tailwind.config.ts. So we are going to say tailwind.config.ts. What I think that shadcn can improve on this is, like, if there is some way to auto detect all of these things, I think it would be good, because most of the people are just going to click enter and just going to leave every setting to auto, and I think it's going to mess things up. Configure the import alias, we can leave it to default. We can also leave this to default. We are using React Server component because we are using the app directory. If you are using pages directory or something, some other framework or something, you might not need React Server components. So I'm just going to click yes. Write configuration into components.json. I'm going to type y. Perfect. Now it's going to install a few dependencies like radix UI, which is the base for the UI components which shadcn makes, and now we are good to go. Now we can simply go and go back to the documentation. There are some things we need to do. First of all, we need to implement dark mode and light mode for our websites. That's the base thing we want to do. So there is an option for dark mode. So if we click here and select Next.js, it asks us to install a package which is Next Themes, which is normally used for enabling dark modes in websites. So let's go back to WAP and let's install this. Let's go back and we need to copy this code. And we need to paste it in theme provider.tsx. So let's go back here. Let's go to src components. We're going to create a new theme provider .tsx, and now we're going to paste this. You don't need to think a lot here. You can simply paste this code. It's meant to work. You can simply copy paste it. It's basically just taking in props and passing it to next theme providers. So now what we need to do is we need to have this theme provider inside of the layout.tsx file, the main layout.tsx file, and we will add the toggle mode later. But let's go here into the app directory, into the layout.tsx file, and now we can simply before children, we can enclose the children into the theme provider. We can now import it from the correct directory. Perfect. And now we can /theme provider. Perfect. and I think it's the default theme is system, and even my local host is already on dark mode, so I think it should be on dark mode normally. If we go to globals.css, I think everything is fine. This is the main theme which is provided by shadcn. You can always edit this. Let's go back to page.tsx. Let's remove everything from here. We are going to create our own thing, so you know what, I'm also going to remove the main. I'm going to just paste the class names. We are not going to waste a lot of time here. So let me get my other piece of code. All right, so the first thing we need is main tag, so with our own class name. So we are going to have a max width of 7xl, so that, for example, the content does not overflow within the certain boundary of a page. That's what we are ensuring here, and we are just adding these things for responsiveness so that there's some kind of padding when using on a mobile phone. Now we need to create navbars. Okay, first of all, let's go back to our browser and let's go to localhost 3000 here. Let's reload this and we should be into our new application. So let's wait for this. Yeah, interesting that it's not dark mode yet. Okay, let's just proceed for now and let's just see what happens later. So let's go to components and let's create a new component here. We are going to call it navbar.tsx file, and we are going to do RFC, and let's remove import React from React. Let's remove the export default and let's rename this to navbar with a capital N. Perfect. Now what we need to do is we need to simply create a navbar. It's as simple as that. So we are going to use next themes and shadcn components here, because as you notice, there was a GitHub button and there was a toggle for light mode and dark mode on the top in the navbar. So we are going to create that. Okay, so this div will have a class name which will be flex justify between, because we are going to have let me type. Okay, so because we are going to have the not e-commerce label at one side and the GitHub and dark mode label at the other side of the navbar, so we are going to have justify between. Then we are going to have padding across the y-axis as 5, and to center everything we are going to have item center so that nothing is misaligned. Now we can go ahead and create a new div here. So I'm just going to remove this and let's create a new div. We are going to call, say, not e-commerce, and we can simply have a class name here. Again, we are going to have text XL and font medium, and then let's create the button for now. So we are going to have a new div here which is going to be flex again, because we are going to have two things here, the button and the drop down menu. So it should be flex item center and gap of 5, because we are going to have two themes, so there must be some kind of spacing in between them. So let's have gap 5. Let's create the button first. So how are we going to get the button? I'm not going to go and copy paste the button. I'm going to use the shadcn CLI. So let's do pnpx shadcn-ui test add button. If I use this command, it will automatically paste the button component inside our application. So let's wait for this to be done. It will be say installing button. Done. Perfect. Now let's go back to our project. You will see that there's a new UI directory inside the components one. If I go here and see the button.tsx file, this will be the component for our button. You can basically modify it however you like. This is Tailwind. Any changes you make will be reflected everywhere else. So make sure you remember that. And let's go back to navbar.tsx file and let's create a new button here. So let's have a button. Make sure you import it from the correct place always. So we are going to have a variant, and the variant we are going to use is outline, and let's have the GitHub button. If you want, you can always use icons and stuff. I just wanted to make it simple, so that's why. Okay, there seems to be a problem here. Do we have the navbar here? Nope. So let's have the navbar here. let's go back. Yep, now we have this button. We don't have to do any configuration. It automatically has all the styles and stuff, and there is no component. It's just a file in your project. So yeah, now we need to create the drop down menu. If you remember, we clicked the button and we had the options for light mode and dark mode. So that was basically a drop down menu. So we need to install the drop down menu. So let's do that right now. So pnpx, we are going to add drop down menu. You can find all of these commands in the documentation. For every component you will see a command, so you can always use that. Let's wait for this to complete and then we can proceed. Installing drop down menu. It should not take a lot of time. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, done. Now what we can do, let's go into the navbar, and under this button we are going to create a drop down menu. Make sure you import it from the component which was created, not from Radix UI. And now if there are two options here, you can either create a drop down trigger. So we can create drop down menu trigger. Don't trust Copilot on this, please. And we can have a button right here. We can just have the icons here. So let me have the import thing for the icons. Let me copy this. Let's paste it here. It will be import moon icons, an icon from Radix UI, React icon. This is the only thing we are importing from Radix UI. So yeah, because shadcn-ui doesn't have icons with it. Now here you can have two things. For now we are just going to call it toggle. We are going to change it with the icons later, but let's have this at toggle. So there are two options. Either you can use this trigger thing, and whenever people click on this, the drop down menu will appear, or you can have an open attribute on this where you can maybe pass in a state to tell the drop down menu when it is open or not. But I think the drop down menu trigger is better for most of the cases, so I think we are going to use that. And then we are going to have a drop down content. So drop down menu content. So let's import it from the right place. And then we are going to have a drop down menu item. So drop down menu item. Now we are going to say light, and let's just copy this 3 times. So let's say light, dark, and system. So we are going to do dark here, and here we are going to say system. If we go back here, we should be able to see light, dark, and system. Perfect. And now we need to make sure that these work. So how do we do that? First of all, let's import something. Let's do this const set theme, and we are going to use the use theme hook from next themes, which we installed before. If you don't want to have dark mode in your website, you don't even need to install that package, but if you want to, I just want to do this. So we are going to import this, and now what we can do is for on click everything, we can have an on click for all of these, and we can just say set theme, and we can just pass in light here. As simple as that. And now we can simply copy these for all 3 of them and paste it. Oops, I didn't copy properly. Let's have dark, and let's have system. Let's go back here, and okay, it's not working. I think, yeah, I faced this error, and if you face this error, it's not really descriptive, but what's happening here that this should be a client component, and we forgot that this should be a client component. So let's make this a client component. So use client. Perfect. And as a matter of fact, even for the page.tsx file, we are going to have use client here. We don't want to deal with server component just yet, but shadcn is capable for having server components. Just these components like drop down menu are needed to be client components because they have interactivity. So let's go back. Now, yeah, it's already dark mode. So if we go to toggle, we can go to light mode, and if we click on dark, it goes to dark. If we click on system, my system is on dark mode, so that's why it's just showing me dark mode. Now let's have those good icons which we had before. So we can also get one more thing from here. So let's have theme, and it gives us access to the current theme. So we can simply say that if, yeah, basically that if theme is, oops, oops, I messed something up. If theme is equal to light, we are going to have sun icon, or else we are going to have moon icon. Okay, now let's go back here, and now if we can go here, let's set light mode, and you can see there's a sun icon. If you click on dark mode, there's a moon icon now. So yeah, this is working. For the GitHub URL, let's do that. I'm going to have my own GitHub URLs here, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to paste this here. The GitHub URL is the GitHub URL literally, which is storing the code for this project, but I don't have this up yet. I'm going to create this repository after the build is done. So let's go ahead and add the link here. So we are going to say on click, we are going to do not like that. We are going to do window.location.href, and we are just going to do GitHub URL. I know there are better ways to do it. I just wanted to rush through this because this is not really important. You know how to link GitHub pages to pages. So yeah, now this should work. I don't want to test it because it will give a 404. Now let's go back to page.tsx, and remember how we used to have cards here, a lot of cards. So now we need to have all these cards here. So first of all, we need to have the data for those cards. So let me get all the data. This is basically all the data which GitHub Copilot suggested me. So I simply went with the flow. Let me copy it. You can simply go to the GitHub repository linked in the description, and you can find this data here. It's basically const products is equal to a bunch of objects which contain product data, and these photos are suggested by GitHub Copilot. I usually don't trust GitHub Copilot, but these worked. So yeah. Now what we can do is we also kind of need to have a type generator for this, because we need to pass this into a different component which we make. So we're going to do export type product. Yep. Except this is going to be 0, so that type of products 0. Let's see. Yeah, it's giving the correct type, and when we pass this in the props, we'll get the proper type safety. Now what we can do is, I know this is not the correct way, but let's just go through it. Typically what you want to do is you want to create static types for this in a .d.ts file, but I wanted it to be very flexible for now. Like if you create another field into this, it should not cry for now. So yeah, I should have kind of used JS, but it's fine. Now what we can do is we can have a new div. So let me copy this. I'm not going to write such a long right now because we have already used a lot of time. So this is basically going to be a grid. On mobile devices it will have only one column. For medium devices it's going to have 2, and for basically anything laptop or above it's going to have 4. And between every card there's going to have a gap of 5. That's basically what we are doing. Now what we need to do here is, first of all, we need to create a component. We are not going to map it just yet. Let's create a new component. We are going to call it product card.tsx. So let's go into the components folder. Let's create a new file. We're going to call product card.tsx. And now what we are going to do is we need the card component. So let's install it. So pnpx, we are going to add card. It will do its task. Let's just focus on this. So let's do RFC. Let's remove this. Let's remove the default, and let's rename this to product card. A product card. Perfect. And we don't need div here. We just need a fragment, because we are going to have 2 components here. So first is going to be first of all, let's back up a little bit. We need the props from here. So let's create a new type. We are going to say type props is equal to we are going to have a product here, which is going to be the type of product which we exported from the first page which we worked on. So let's import it. Perfect. And now we can have the product here, which will have the type of props. Perfect. Now we can work on this peacefully. Now we can have a card component. /ui/card, perfect, which will have a key because we are going to have this in a loop. So we can simply have a key here, which we can say, yeah, we simply don't need a class name here, so let's omit that. Let's close this card, and now here what we need to do is we need to have the image and stuff. So I'm just simply going to copy all of this and paste it. Let's remove the on click thing here right now. We are going to leave it empty for now. Let's import everything from our files. So card header, card content, the card footer, of course the button which we used earlier. Now what's happening here, for the card header we are adding the image of the product, for card content we are having the name and description, and for the card footer we are going to have the purchase button. We're also going to add the dialogues here because every component will have different data, so each different data will have each different dialogue, so we are going to have the dialogues here. So that's why we have the on click, because this button will determine if the dialog will open or not. So let's save this and let's go back. We obviously don't have anything because we are yet to loop on it, so let's go to this file here again, page.tsx, and we will start looping here. So we are going to say products dot map product, and oops, seems like I broke something. Yeah, now here we are going to have a product card which we created just now, and we are going to pass in the product, and we can also pass in GitHub Copilot is really messing with me right now. Okay, and we are also going to pass in the key, which is going to be product.id. Perfect. Now I think we should be able to see. Yeah, perfect. Now you can see product 1, this is a product. All of these things are perfectly fine. The cool thing about is that if it exceeds 3 lines, it automatically adds ... It's a Tailwind feature. If you go back here, there's a line clamp 3 which allows only 3 lines of text allowed, and after it just adds ... So yeah, that's it. And now we need to add the dialog. So we need to install dialog, so let's do that. Let's do pnpx shadcn-ui test add dialog. I cannot type. Okay, let's just, it will just do its thing now. Okay, so this is the state we need right here. It says is dialog open, set is dialog open. We are going to use a state to keep the track to see if the dialog should be open or not, and then we are going to have the actual dialog itself. So I'm going to copy this as well because it's going to take a lot of time if we just keep going through every component. You can find all of these in the documentation. We need to import dialog, of course, from our files, so let's do that. Make sure you import these from the correct files. Don't import it from radix UI. I mean, it might still work, but I think it's best to just what's the point of using shadcn then? So yeah, we need to create a new purchase item function, so let's do that, and we'll have a look at everything which we have done. So function purchase item, yeah, basically this, but we are not going to have the alert here because we are going to use our own fancy toast, which is also called a sauna. So yeah, we are going yeah, everything is fine. It says we are just going to keep the track. So if now we can simply have this here, set is open dialog. So we are just going to have true here. So whenever somebody clicks this button called as purchase, the state will become true, and since it will become true, this dialog can be opened, and when it's opened, we are going to have all this content in it. So we have dialog header which has title proceed with purchase, then a random description, then we are going to have just the purchase item function which is going to simply mock the purchase, and then we are going to have a button which simply closes the model. So yeah, let's just save this. Let's go back to our code, and if we click on purchase, we should be able to see this model. So if we click on purchase, it should go. We are not seeing any toast right now because we haven't configured it yet, but if we click on cancel, it should do its thing. Now for the toast to work, it's pretty simple. What we need to do, shadcn makes it very simple. So let's do pnpx shadcn-ui add, and the toaster, there are two components. So let me show you something here real quick. So if you go back to the shadcn-ui website, there are two components. There's something wrong here, but if you go here, there is one is toast. If you click okay, let me get my picture above. If you click on add to calendar, you can check the animation, and there is only one toast there, right? Like if we have like 3-4 toasts coming every single second, it's going to be very messy. And Sonar is a very opinionated toast component for React. It's basically running from a long time, and it looks so good. If you click on show toast, it's a little slow, but if we have many different toasts, you can simply click here and you can see all past 3 toasts, and I think it's just very cool. So we are going to use Sonar in this one. So let me get my camera view back. Perfect. It's not the perfect, but yeah, it will work. So let's go to warp, and we are going to add Sonar. So Sonar has a dependency which is Sonar itself, so it's going to install that. So let's wait for this to be done, because we're going to need, it was pretty quick. So let's go back to layout.tsx, and below the children we are going to add toaster from we can add from, we are gonna use shadcn version. So yeah, perfect. Now we can go back to our card, and we can just simply go to the button function, and we can say toast, and this one is going to be important from Sonar. So let's do toast, and we can say toast.success item purchased successfully. Let's save. Let's go back to our localhost 3000. Let me get me back up. Not quite, like, yeah. If we click on product from purchase, if I click on purchase, perfect. Okay, now let me see if I can time this correct, but if I can have 2 or 3 or 4, and now we have all of these things, all of these toasts, and I think it's pretty cool. If I change this, okay, I'm doing this just out of curiosity. If I change this to dismiss, okay, how does this look? Let's check it out. Okay, it's not working. Error, I think toast.error. Oh yeah, it has this icon thing. Yeah, but if you want, you can always style these. It's always in your files. If you want these to have different colors, you can always do that. We are going to leave it to success. Yeah, that's it for this app. And now what I'm going to show you is the themes itself. So let's go to the shadcn-ui documentation. Let's click on themes. Now there are different kinds of theme here. I'm gonna try using green. So let's click on, you can also customize this for like whatever you want. I think it's pretty cool. You can copy the code, and you can simply copy this stuff. And let's go back to our globals.css file. Now this is the reason why I use CSS setting, not the Tailwind one, where theming was used for CSS, because we can simply replace this with our styling which we just copied. So let's just paste it. Let's go back to our app, and I think everything should be changed. Yeah, now we have green buttons. Now if we click these, yeah, the toast is basically just unfazed. It doesn't change, but basically everything. Now if you even notice, the card background is a little greenish. If you customize it, of course, using the customize option, you can have a lot of more flexibility over the colors, but I think this is pretty cool. You can simply change the theme and stuff, and there's a lot of customization here, and there are no bloated dependencies at all. So yeah, I think I'm not going to use a lot of time here. I think that's it for shadcn-ui. You can simply explore more. If you want me to create more projects in Shadcn, I'm probably going to do it, but just leave them in the comments below. So yeah, that's it for this video. What do you think about shadcn-ui? Is it cool or not? Like, there are a lot of websites using it. I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to use it for my personal projects, and if you guys say, I'm also going to use it for all of my YouTube builds. What do you think about Shadcn? Leave that in the comments below. If you found value in this video, make sure you click the like button, share it with your friends, and also hit the subscribe button because it gives me the boost in the algorithm, and it promotes my videos to a lot of different developers who really need help of gaining the technical knowledge you are gaining right now. And if you have any other suggestions for videos, you can simply leave them in the comments below and I'll make sure to create that video. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.